Okay, look, I'm hoping my chat's working. So if you're in the chat, please say something because I have no idea who's doing what, when, and how, and why at the moment. Yeah, it's a bloody nightmare to be honest. Yeah, so but yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. Anyway, let's wait for a few people to join. Anybody going to join? Yay! Somebody's joined. Right. Okay. Oh, so Dino, how you doing, boy? Hello, Dominic. How you doing, bud? Well, hey, there's me boy on there. Okay, right. Where do we start? I don't know where to start really. Do you know what? Right, I want to go back. I want to go back to the season we got promoted, and the squad we had. Now there was a lot of people in the chat saying, "Oh, look, we need some buy some players and spend some money." I remember I was saying, look, we need to get Hutchinson in. I said, we're looking at 20 million. And I was told laughable because we're never going to spend 20 million pound on a player or whatever it was. But the reality is that we bought a lot of shoulda, wouldas and possibilities last season. And it kind of feels that they were preparing for relegation. Now, I said the worst thing that could happen is if we get relegated and we lose the majority of the squad that we've bought, and we've lost a lot of players. We've let players go. We are in a complete rebuilding process, and it's not working. We've left it very late in the transfer window to do business, which we were all like buzzing yesterday. Good evening, was it Adrian? We've left it rather late and in the transfer window, and we're 4 games in. Evening, Louis. Evening, great to see you doing your own YouTube channel. Love to see it. Thank you very much. Hello, Sharon. How you doing? Yeah, so like I said, it's a very tough time to be a Town fan at the moment because I just can't see where we're going to get a win from. And I know that people are like saying, oh, we need to give it time and stuff like that. But look, anybody that's seen us play in the last 4 games, and we can include Bromley in that, right, can see that we are moving that ball far too slow. My boy and his brother went today, and he came away saying it was like watching 11 individuals play. And like I said, like I said, Burgess, Brody, Amari gone now. Wolfie looks like he's on his way out the door. Dino says doesn't help when it's plan A after plan A. Again, we seem to be a team of individuals. Dominic, yeah, agreed. That's what my boy said. He didn't miss anything very, very poor performance today. Well, look, to be fair, I watched what I could. I see my boys in the chat. Hello, Josh. How you doing? Again, I can't read it. Shane, I thought I called you Sharon. I do apologise. Well, it's a weekend. You can be Sharon if you want. And you are right. The ball is being moved around far too slowly. It was evident at the start of the season. Now it's evident 4 games in. And to only have, what have we got? 2, 3 points on the board. What, we got 2 points? I can't tell what. I don't even check. I'm sure we've only got 2 points. I'm just going to have a quick look. Help of Handy having a second phone. So, oh God, I hate looking at that scoreline. It says 2-2. Yeah, Yeah, so 3 points. So we've done 3 draws and a loss. And it's when you look at like Middlesbrough sat on 12 points right now. And it's you struggle to see where we get a win from. We're starting lineup. Davis, O'Shea, Greaves, and then Young and midfielder Kajust and Matisiwa, who I have to say I thought that was a good midfield setup. Because obviously, Jack Taylor for me is never a holding mid. And then obviously, Chaplin in the 10, which I called for. I thought, yeah, Chaplin can do that. And Philogene and McAtee. And then obviously Hurst up front. And I've got to say this. Hurst looked awful today. He is not the player that he was, that we know he can be. So a few comments here. I'm going to try and keep up with all these. Blimey. Louis Fenton, I'm a massive fan of Philogene, but the way we play, it's better suited Smodage on the left because he's more of an inside forward rather than a touchline winger. Yeah, I can't disagree. I thought he played better when he moved over to the right. Philogene for me. But again, it's like, these players are good, but what are they doing? What are they doing on the training ground? Substitutions far too late as well. Was that 13 minutes before the end before we decide to make a substitution or do something constructive? I've said this before. Yeah, we're not very direct with our play, and that doesn't mean long ball. That means we're not very direct with our play. We're crab football, side to side, side to side, side to side to side, going nowhere with it. People looking up, looking for a pass. People not moving. Statues in the forward area, in the midfield. Defending. Where's our leadership? O'Shea's meant to be our captain. Where the hell is our leadership? Because if that's a sign of things to come, we're in trouble. Because there is no leadership coming from that player at all. He was poor at the beginning of last season, and he started this season again poor. Are they upgrades on Wolfenden and Burgess? Not in a million years of them two upgrades on them players. And yet McKenna, mighty McKenna, who in my book is on thin ice right now, and very much so because he's 44 games now without a win. Is it something silly like that? No, I've got that wrong. Last time we beat Bournemouth was in April, and that's the last time we won a game. We've lost God knows how many, drawn God knows how many, and now we're not even winning in the Championship. We're getting old excuses. Oh, we got a team of individuals, right? I get that. I get that we got a new team and everything else like that, but it's no good. It really isn't. Dominic, I won't get to thank you for saying it, but after the next game, Norwich, if we don't pick up a lot of points, KM's under pressure. I can't disagree with that. Trevor, I have to agree with you. I can't see that Philogene looks like a £20 million player. We brought some players in and stuff, but and Trevor, you're right. Wolfie and Burgess, better partnership in my honest opinion. And like I said, we have no captain at the moment. It just O'Shea. If O'Shea's a captain, then I'm a monkey's uncle because. I'm sorry, but he'll never. It's just the leadership on that pitch. I was at my brother at the Southampton game, and we looked. There was no leadership, and if people think McKenna's never going to get the sack and all that, well, I can think of better managers than him that have been sacked. Ranieri won the Premier League with Leicester. In the end, the fans said, "Look, enough's enough. You've taken us as far as you can go," and this kind of feels feels very much like this at the moment. You know, look, I want to clarify something, because obviously people are going to be watching this video and they're going to be thinking, do I want Kieran McKenna to go? Well, no, of course I don't. You know, I don't want him to go. I want him to succeed, because I feel that he's, you know, and I feel that he's still got some ammunition in his locker. But the problem is, unless he gets this team playing, unless we start getting wins, you know, his job's on the line. And people may not like that, the happy clappers specifically. You know, I've had a bit of abuse on the socials over it. But yeah, for me, McKenna's very much on thin ice. Okay, I think we'll regret selling Wolf. You know, O'Shea is not captain. Absolutely, we agree on centre mid. We need a centre midfielder. Agreed. Would I give it to Ashley Young as captain? Do you know what? Yeah, I think he's more experienced, but you do need a player that can play near enough every game. We had Morsey that could do that. You know, like I said, and you're right, Dominic. You know, McKenna's you know, done wonders with the club. The season we got promoted, I think a lot of that was momentum and the fact that we were playing as a team. That made a huge difference. You know, like I said, it's what we got here at the moment. I think McKenna needs to win by the end of September, otherwise Derby Day could be ugly. Yeah, I agree, Trevor. KM should be given time, but there is a limit. For me, if we don't beat Norwich, we lose to Norwich at home. I think that's him done. I genuinely do. You know, you can't come back from that. Then it's a case of, you know, will we make the playoffs this season? Because at the moment we're looking more like relegation fodder than we are promotion. I mean, look, let's go through it. I mean, look, we scored a good goal. You know, Greaves getting his head in, back of the net, nice cross. Then we hit the post. Then we, you know, shot wide. But I never. Again, it was like, from what I could see, there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough emphasis once we scored the goal again. It was Southampton part deux. You know, we literally kind of sat back again. Derby had moments, and then second half come in, they scored. Look, we can't argue with the penalty. It was a pen. You know, Davis trying to block the cross, put his hand out. Can't argue with that. I'm not going to sit and argue otherwise. But for their second goal, what was O'Shea doing? Was he on his holidays still? Was he still back in Tenerife somewhere? Because, you know, if that is captain leadership material, and that is how you defend, then we're in trouble. And then bang, 2-1 Derby. At that point, I was ready to throw my phone in the toilet because I was getting rather ratty. And you are, Louis, you're absolutely right. We were good for the first half, could have been 2-0 up. But towards the end of the first half, I thought we were, again, a lot huffing and puffing. Yeah, one home win since Huddersfield. Holy shit. Oh, that is, yeah, God, I never realised that. That's bad, isn't it? How bad is that from a club that were putting teams to the sword? And do you know what? Yeah, Michael, you're spot on. What was he doing? Thinking he could chest the ball down, just outside the area like that. Thinking we're playing so close to him. Just get control of the ball and rosette it, or at least get rid of it. And to put us in danger like that, and we go 2-1 down, and then look, was it a pen for us? I thought it was soft, if I'm honest. I'm not going to sit here and say otherwise. But again, the referee has saved our backsides and given us a point. Or did we deserve it based on that second half? No, I don't think we did deserve it. I thought we were as poor as we've seen us. I think when, yeah, some people said we should have had another penalty, but I guess they even themselves out. obviously I missed a bit, but why was there 13 minutes of extra time? Someone in the chat give me an answer to that, because yeah, that was strange. I'm not complaining, because obviously I think we scored in the 5th or 6th minute of extra time or something like that. But look, for me it was a bit of a soft penalty. But you know, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Hurst. Yeah, I'll see something on the social about Hurst was fouled, but you know, we shouldn't need penalties to save games. We shouldn't need. Yeah, I can imagine there was probably a lot of that going on. I mean, let's be honest. If we're sat there and we're 3-0 up or 2-0 up, and you're, you know, we are going to be we do time waste ourselves. I've seen it. You know, as a team, no one likes it. No one likes to watch it. We've seen it. When teams do it to us, we don't like it, and rightly so. We get on their case. But the referees, I mean, they've been told to deal with it, and that's obviously why we had 13 minutes of added time. You know, I must admit, I thought when it said 90 on the thing, I thought, well, that's it. You know, we're going to get 5 minutes, and I saw 13. I was like, bloody hell. Look, do you know what? The other thing I want to do is I want to give Jack Clark some credit. Okay, so let's just have a look. I'm going to catch up with some reading here. One positive from today was the midfield partnership of Azor and Kajust. They looked much more comfortable playing together, offered one another route for Palmer to play the ball rather than sideways. Yeah, that can be. That certainly, you know, from what I see, it didn't look that bad. Ref was shit, but that's no excuse for performance. Yeah, do you know what? We can blame the rest for everything, but, you know, for me, you know, you've got to look at the performance before you go blaming the referee, or no matter how shit the referee was. I mean, the referee was poor at Southampton for both of us. So, you know, Ogbenny, or Aubergine as I call him, going on loan. Okay, well, that's a strange one. Why buy him in the Premier League then if he's going out on loan? Again, it's just, yeah. McKenna's, as much as I like him, is not untouchable, but the board back him with signings, e.g. Yeah, look, again, you can't argue. The board have backed him. Shane still have not got that killer pass. I can't disagree with that. I think we don't have a lot when it comes to. We've lost that killer instinct in that final third. It's like, look, I know the team needs time, but we've now lost two. We nearly lost two games now, and we've only. I know we've drawn 3 and lost 1, but we've really got to start picking up points, because teams in the top half can start walking away with this league. You know, Middlesbrough are unbeaten on you know. They're unbeaten for the season. They're sitting on top of the table. And I think we've got to be careful here. We've got to be careful that we don't get tailed away a bit and end up in the playoffs, because we know how that ends up and how many times we've been in there and suffered the humiliation of that. The irony of that, Luton manager leaves and Borough are top. Yeah. Yeah, it's a strange. I mean, if you look at Borough under McCarrick, I think the fans were saying the same thing. There was a lot, that people could be pleased about watching and seeing the way they play, but it was very quick in the second season. They realised how teams were going to play, how they were going to play, and they just kind of set up for how he played. I think I've said this for a long time, you know, to be a top coach. We'll be a top coach if we want. I tell you what, let's start that one again in a minute. If Norwich don't sell Sargent, they may well finish above us. Look, I've said Liam Manning is a very good manager anyway. I work with a Norwich fan, and we've been having chats today, and he was like, you know, he's not convinced. But for me, I think he is a very good manager. And I think unless we change something, maybe change formation, because we play the same way all the time. Maybe go to a 4-3-3. Gives us a bit more emphasis in that midfield, or we go to a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. And a few teams are doing that at the moment. They are 3-5-2 and doing quite well. I think we have the players to sort of be versatile. It's whether Kieran McKenna is up for the challenge. Look, he knows he's under pressure. Regardless of what we all think and stuff, Kieran McKenna's not stupid. He knows he's under pressure. And like all fans, your reaction is, well, for Christ's sake, he needs to go and stuff. But look, if fans don't think he's on thin ice, then they're delusional, because you have to consider your role as a manager when things aren't going right. And right now they're not going right. It's not just the fact that the performance is so slow. I think it is like watching a bunch of OAPs run, people my age running around the football pitch. Let's be fair, because there was no pace to the game, no urgency, no direct play. It was just all safe stuff, and it just, we need to be a lot more ruthless from our goalkeeper to our central defenders to our midfield to our false tens to our number 10 to our number 9. We need to be more ruthless. It was nice to see Akpom. I mean, look, Akpom today showed what you can do as number 10. And that is take the ball outside the area and at least have a pop when you get an opportunity. Amari did that in the season we got promoted. He used to come in, cut in on his left, and as soon as he got an opportunity to have a strike, he'd have a go. And we scored some goals and some crucial goals at times, And I just feel that we do need to be more clinical, more ruthless, and for Christ's sake, if things aren't working, let's not leave it 13 minutes before we start bringing subs on. We need to be bringing players on. If they're not performing, then bring them off. Get them off. If they're not doing very well, get them off. Yeah. Okay, so what we got? Let's go back. Let's read a few of these comments. Trevor, you got a point. McKenna clearly has a style of play coming up from League One. A lot of teams weren't able to adapt to it, but now we've been and gone in the Premier League. We're far more predictable. I have to say, in some of the formations, 3-4-1-2 for me, 3-5-2, 6-3-1. Now, is that one goalkeeper, 3 defenders, and 6 strikers? It might work. 5-3-2. He will have to change because of the players we brought in. Agreed, Shane. Simon Hall. Smodic seems a bit of a letdown. Smodic for me has never really played in his most sort of natural position when he came here. So, that's on McKenna as well. Dominic says, look at Gareth Ainsworth, Wickham, manager so close to going to the Premier League, now managing at League 2 Gillingham. McKenna could end up there, and I'm sure he won't, but funny old game. And you know what? You're right. For me, I always say, I'm only a youth coach. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I won things, and I think when I needed to make substitutions, I made them. Whether it be 35 minutes into the game, half time, second half, I made them. Why? Because sometimes you need to make something different. Change a player in the midfield to give you a bit more energy. Player up front, switch to a. I used to play 3-5-2. Sometimes I'd go to a 3-4-3 if we needed to get goal back. Sometimes I'd play a long ball. I'd say, right, hit the channels. We've got three, four. We've got number 9 and 3 forwards. So let's just hit into the channels and see where we go with that. Play through the phases. You know, from the back through the midfield, break the lines. Yeah, been there, done all that. And I think the problem is we don't do enough of the first stuff. We don't do enough of play the long ball into the channels. It's very straight down the middle. You know, I said before, it's not about a long ball play, but it's about direct play. Sometimes, you know, getting the ball down. Get the ball down. I mean, I can see. I sat there watching some of the games this season. I think myself, right, okay. Clark was out there on the left. Someone's still got hold of the ball. He's got time to build a bungalow, and yet no one's passed it to him. There's far too many players playing with their heads down. You know, I taught my boys to play with their heads up, and they'll tell you they play with their heads up. You know, you can't look around the pitch with your head down. You know. You know, so if you get the ball in the midfield and you know there's a player on your left-hand side free, you whip it across to him. Because that can be the difference between getting the ball forward and not. Let's look at the chat again. Stick with Jack Clark. He's better and he's got balls. Great penalty. Look, I've given Jack Clark some serious stick. But I tell you what, yeah, that's going to do him a world of good, taking that penalty, because it was a pressure penalty. And, you know, he put it away, and that's going to do him a world of good. And I hope it sort of kickstarts his season or his career with Town, because he hasn't done a lot. Dean, we can't sit in this league for another 2 seasons and wait for the squad to gel. Hate the word. We have made too many changes. Morsey was linchpin, absolutely. Too many individuals. Yeah, we need to find a linchpin. I think we need to find a captain, because O'Shea is no captain. I'm sorry, but he isn't. I don't particularly think he's a great defender. So, you know, and Greaves hasn't impressed me since he started. But, you know, we'll have to see. And, yeah, he did put it away well, to be fair. But, yeah, look, we made the changes, and, you know, Jack Taylor came on. And for me, he's another player that's, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't have took him to the Premier League. I'd have probably let him go on loan or gone beginning of last season before we started the Premier League. We needed a bit more quality than what we got. In fact, we needed some of the players that we've signed now in the Premier League. I think realistically that, you know, we might have. Who knows? We don't know, do we? But look, today's a tough one as a Town fan. It's a real tough one because we were hoping for our first win. And someone's already put in the chat, we haven't won a game since Huddersfield. Home game since Huddersfield. And that's pretty shit as a Town fan. We get a couple of good signings this week. And then the icing on the cake was obviously Nunes coming from the scum up the north of the A140. They had to get a red card for they could get their first win. So, you know, that's well done to them. I'm sure they'll have an open top bus parade for that. You know, woo! So that's them, but, you know, and I feel that tonight I'm pretty pissed off as a Town fan. I think there's a lot more that we need to do, and you know, there's so much more to do. There really is. But look, the transfer window ends soon. I will be doing another video. I'll probably do a live on that as well, to be fair. So yeah, I'll do that, and hopefully we'll see who's staying, who's going, and we'll see what squad we've got to work with. We've got 2 weeks off now, so hopefully McKenna and the boys will get training. McKenna, look, the chances of you watching this video are going to be like close to 0. But for Christ's sake, you need to motivate them boys to pass that ball forward and pass that ball a lot quicker. We need speed, power, pace, and awareness. It's like no one's got any awareness of where people are. Yeah, well, why did we let Mass and Morsey go? Mass could have stayed and be the captain for one more season. I can't disagree with that. I think all of us would have liked him to stay. But right now he's earning the readies that he's earned. Look at his career. Did he ever think he'd ever play in the Premier League? Probably not. Hoped maybe, but never probably really thought it. And now he has. He's got a lovely payday out in Kuwait or Saudi, wherever he's gone. And good luck to him. I'll always be thankful to him. Like I said, we bumped into him in the garage one night after football, my brother and myself, and I stood right behind him in the queue. And I said, "Oh, hello, Moz, how you doing?" Got chatting, and he was kind enough to give my brother a lovely photograph, which has created a good memory for us. So, but as for today, we can look. As Yaz once said, things can only get better. And if you think I'm singing that, you got another thing come. But anyway, I'm the Fisherman. This is Fisherman's Bluez. Like, subscribe, share. I will catch you another day. For now, uptown.